Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, gang. Welcome to the first episode of Self Moments. So, these are reflective episodes, really short, just by the way, and I'll be doing them every single week. That said, I want to start off by saying something that a phenomenal man once said. And he said in a quote, "It's the nature of a fire to go out." I'm going to say it again. It's the nature of a fire to go out. Close quote. Now, I'm going to get into that in a bit. Side note, ever noticed how once you get into a romantic relationship, at the inception of that relationship, everything is great. You know, you do this and that for your partner. You know, a guy would buy flowers, chocolate, jewelry, etc. For their girl, and the girl would do this, that, and the other for their guy, right? And then after a while, the relationship gets to a point of comfort. Now, when the relationship gets there, things don't necessarily become stale, but the things that you used to do before for your partner, you don't really do as much. And I've realized that it actually happens in oblivion because it's not like people wake up one morning and decide that, you know what, I'm not going to do this and do that for my partner anymore. It's just how things happen, or it's just how things become when there's comfort. You know what I mean? I think the same is applicable when it comes to our relationship with God. You know, at first, at the start of the relationship, everything is great. You know, you pray a lot, you praise a lot, you worship a lot, etc. But then you get to a point of comfort where the things you used to do before, you don't do as much. And the one thing that I've learned about our relationship with God, or rather, the one thing that I've learned about God is that He constantly wants to be exalted. Now, how do we exalt God? Through prayer, through praise, through worship, through reading the Word, right? I remember I was in a season where I was so miserable. I had everything, my home, everything you could ever think of, every material thing that you could ever think of, I had it. But at the same time, I was miserable. Reminds me of a question that I heard being asked earlier this week, that you have everything, but you're still empty. How do you go about with that? So as I was saying, I was so miserable, right? And I think in my misery, the one thing that I started to realize is that I wanted God in like the wrong places, in the wrong people. Often we want God, or we look for God in a relationship, a friendship, in material stuff, in money, you know, in a promotion, in a higher paying job, in a better title, a better job title, a car, whatever the case may be. But I had to cast the nets. I actually like that phrase. I don't know why. I had to cast the nets, being reminded of a song by Maverick City Music that says, "Take me back." I had to cast the nets and go back. And I pleaded with God and I said, "God, help me. You know, help me get back to how I was when I started my relationship with you. Help me get back to praising you more, to worshiping you more, to reading the word more, you know, to praying more." Because like I said, when this comfort, intentionality gets out of the way, you know what I mean? And I think just wrapping it up, and I think the mindset that I'm trying to invite you and I into is any relationship, whether it's a platonic relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, but the focal point now being our relationship with God, any relationship requires us to be intentional. You know, bringing our relationship with God into picture, or into the picture, we need to be very intentional. Remember, flames flickering doesn't mean that you're weak as a person. No. Flames flickering means that you're human, right? It means that life is lifing. But I've learned that God is a God of He's a God of restoration. He's a God of redeeming, redemption. He's a God of refiring, a God of, reigniting, etc. So when our fire dies down or when our fire goes out, he can still come into the picture and restore that. But we also have to do our part. I've learned we have to do our part. If we want our fire, regained or reignited, we have to do our part. We have to pray more. We have to press in more. We have to praise more, worship more, read the word more. And I promise you, you'll get back to where you were with God when you started. These are reflection moments, like I said, self moments. And this is the first episode. Okay? Tabang here. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen,